Hi everyone, I'm Vasilisa Sabayeva and this is Russian London. Here we're breaking stereotypes about Russians living in the capital of Great Britain. Today we will meet with Dr. Dmitry Rogozhnikov, scientist and biochemist at the best university in the world, Oxford University. Hi Dmitry, thank you that you're joining Russian London.
Hi Vasilisa.
We always start with the same question. How did you end up in London?
Before coming to London, I was a scientist in Toronto at York University. There I did my dissertation, PhD. I completed 5 years of education in biochemistry, and then I was invited to work for Oxford University.
Can you explain in simple terms what you're doing as a scientist?
So basically, I'm working in a field called tissue engineering. That's making artificial tissues and organs for transplantation. So I worked on multiple projects. One of them was to generate an artificial liver tissue for transplantation and drug testing. And the second one was to make an artificial heart. So right now, one of the biggest problems in medicine is lack of donors' organs for transplantation, and many people die due to the fact that simply there are not enough organs available for transplantation. So right now the science is moving towards making artificial organs. So we can take person's own cells, we can grow them in a specific shape. That shape becomes an organ-like structure, which can then be transplanted into the patient's body.
After studying in Toronto, in Canada, working in Switzerland, why did you choose to move to England?
Well, I only worked in Switzerland briefly for about 6 months. There was a small project with one of the universities there. And I used that time to actually prepare for my next move in Oxford.
Let's talk about Oxford University. What did you invent as a scientist there?
So right now I'm working on a project that has to do with generating artificial pancreatic tissue for potential transplantation for people with type 1 diabetes. So people with type 1 diabetes have to constantly inject themselves with insulin, and there are few other treatments that are available for that specific condition. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to make a tissue which would be able to secrete insulin, and if this tissue is transplanted in the patient's body, that can help them with managing type 1 diabetes condition.
In general, you were studying in Canada, in Toronto, in York University, and get PhD there. Yeah. Why did you choose this sphere for your career?
So I think that in general, repairing something that is completely broken in the human body is the most exciting and challenging field, a challenging question. So when we're talking about transplantation in general and patients who need transplantation, their organs can no longer be regenerated or treated with regular pills. So the only solution would be to actually grow something in you and transplant the new organ into the patient's body. So I think this is the most challenging question right now in the medicine. And overall, I think that if this particular question is solved, we can move forward as a humanity.
Wow. Interesting to know more about your working days now at Oxford University. Could you tell us, please, how is your usual day looks?
Well, I usually wake up relatively early. I exercise, and then I come to the lab, and we work for about 3 to 4 hours straight in the lab. Then we go together for lunch with my colleagues. And usually in the afternoon I meet with collaborators, with students, or we discuss the projects that are going on in our field with our colleagues. Every other day I have to present for different seminars and conferences.
Oxford University is the home of some of the greatest scientist discoveries, but I heard that salary is unfairly low. Is it true?
Well, overall the salary that is paid to scientists everywhere in the UK in every university is approximately the same, but living conditions in Oxford are slightly higher, so the prices for everything is greater than, let's say, in Birmingham or other cities.
Let's talk a bit about Russia, as we all Russians. I guess you have friends who are scientists in Russia. What is the difference of being a scientist in Russia and in the UK?
Well, overall there are similarities between every scientist. Every single scientist basically has something in common, so which is conducting research, publishing in journals, going to international conferences. And obviously right now everything is in English. So United Kingdom, of course, is an English-speaking country, therefore is the hub for the scientific journals, technology and best minds in the world. So I'd say that the biggest difference is the fact that here people have more access to resources and ideas than do people in my home country, in Russia.
You know that in Russia there are a lot of smart people. However, we know the statistic that a lot of scientists are trying to move to get PhD abroad and also to continue their career in other countries. Why do you think this situation?
Well, because I will talk about specifically my field, biochemistry and biological sciences. So as you know, DNA, for example, this DNA structure was discovered in the United Kingdom by Francis Crick. Dolly the sheep was cloned in the UK. So if we're talking about biology, biological fields, this was the leading country. So of course everybody wants to have an opportunity to learn from people who originated the field, genetic engineering, cloning, advanced biological sciences.
You are a biology and chemistry scientist. Of course, I can't avoid topic of COVID and pandemic. Of course, let's talk a bit about that.
Yeah.
Did you participate in research at Oxford University of vaccine?
No, I didn't.
Why?
Because it's not directly related to my field, to what I do. So there are specialists who are virologists, epidemiologists, and microbiologists, and they are directly involved. They were directly involved with this particular problem.
But I heard they ask you, to participate in that or not.
I was asked to participate in one of the aspects of that particular research, but according to my contract, I can only work for one single employer.
And it's not like overall Oxford University, yeah?
No, it's not overall.
Specific company there or organization?
So there was a research organization which collaborates with the University of Oxford that asked me, but because I'm already working for my particular employer, I cannot work for other employer while being in the UK.
Interesting. But you're our first scientist in our program, in our project, and I really would like to ask you, do you know the difference between the Russian vaccine Sputnik and AstraZeneca and also Moderna and Pfizer? As a scientist, can you explain that?
Of course. There are two different technologies that are currently used. So there are four vaccines which are available, which are widely used, which is AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Sputnik and Moderna. And Pfizer and Moderna have so-called RNA technology, which is a specific molecule that can be delivered in our body from which a viral protein can be produced to to basically initiate their immune response in our body. Whereas Sputnik and the AstraZeneca vaccine relies on the use of virus, which injects the DNA in the human body, and that DNA is used for production of that particular protein. So there is a big similarity between AstraZeneca vaccine and Sputnik vaccine. So these are vaccines of the same type, retroviral type of vaccines, adenoviral type of vaccines, and these particular vaccines are very similar in their action. Except for Sputnik is a little bit more advanced in the sense that it has a different second injection, which is more tolerable by a person's body.
Mm-hmm. Which vaccine will you recommend as a scientist to make?
To take, depending on where you're located. So both Sputnik and Pfizer, let's say, are quite efficient. So they have over 90% efficiency. AstraZeneca has 66% efficiency. So if you're abroad, I think a good vaccine to take is Pfizer.
Better than Moderna?
In my opinion. But that's my personal opinion. Because Pfizer is mass-produced. So we're talking about hundreds of millions of doses, and Moderna is like in millions. So there is an order of magnitude in terms of production. So Pfizer is a lot more established than Moderna.
In the end, let's talk about your career plans. Do you have your career aim now?
Absolutely. So I would like to stay in research. I definitely want to continue with academic research. And there is a possibility that I'm going to collaborate with industrial projects as well, because there's so much that is going on right now in terms of developing new technology in biological field. Yeah.
It would have been some heavy rain in the southwest corner.
And at the end of our interview, let's have a blitz.
Yeah.
What should happen that the pandemic will be over?
So several things need to happen. One is, of course, we need to get close to having a herd immunity. So which means over 80% of the population has to have antibodies towards the vaccine through vaccination or through actually having the disease. So that's number one. Number two, we have to wait. Because over time, virus, as it circulates in the population, it loses its ability to affect people. Because after all, the virus doesn't want to kill us. It wants to reproduce, it wants to cohabit with people, right? So over time, it's losing its pathogenicity, it's losing its virulence. So what we have to do is we have to wait.
When will it be over?
Well, I hope by the end of this year.
Oh.
Yeah. But virus is not going to go away. It's going to stay with us.
Yeah, I hope this prognosis will be true. And the next question, do you have the aim to receive a Nobel Prize?
Well, not a single Nobel laureate I know had the same. So all you have to do is you have to enjoy your work, you have to enjoy what you're doing. And usually to most of the Nobel laureates currently existing, Nobel Prize comes as a surprise. So they never expected it. So just like them, I just want to do my work, do my projects and see wherever it leads me.
And the most traditional question, Russian London. What is your first association with this phrase?
I'd say it's about a community of energetic people who want to do something interesting with their life.
And Russian Oxford is the same as Russian London?
Russian Oxford is more specific. I mean, it's specific to academia. So we're talking about scientists in general, scientific community, and students, of course. Whereas London, of course, is a big city, so it has many professionals.
Dimitri, thank you very much that you shared with us all of that and that you joined Russian London.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
It was a large, dark house. We would have seen some heavy rain in the southwest corner.